Hi, I'm Philip Smith, financial planner with Tidepool Wealth Strategies, helping self-employed professionals and solopreneurs just like you cultivate resilience in your plans to retire well. This is the Financial Planning Podcast about money management, best practices for long-term growth, wealth-building truths and fallacies, successful retirement strategies, and more, where I'll be sharing concise, actionable retirement planning guidance. Welcome to the Financial Flow. Welcome to episode 18 of the Financial Flow. I'm Philip, and today we're wading into the tide pool of financial education to answer one of the biggest questions on everyone's mind. How much do I need to retire? If you find this episode helpful, don't forget to share it with your network and hit the subscribe button. Let's jump right into the answer and keep this episode super short. There's no one-size-fits-all number. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Financial Flow, brought to you by Tidepool Wealth Strategies. Okay, I'm kidding. It just isn't simple enough to tell everyone a specific dollar amount to save as a blanket statement, as hard as various financial news outlets may try to make that the clickbait case. The real answer? It depends on your retirement cash flow, how much you expect to spend versus how much you have coming in. Specifically, what you spend each month determines what your monthly income need is, and that directly influences how much you need to have saved when you retire. That's the core of today's discussion. And today we'll talk about how you can start identifying that number. The biggest mistake people make when planning for retirement is focusing too much on a final dollar amount to save. Sure, saving $1 or $2 or $5 million sounds great, but if you don't know what your cash flow needs are, those numbers may not be accurate. You could find out a little too late in retirement that you may not have enough saved, or find out how you saved more than you needed, meaning you may have retired later than you needed to. Your retirement cash flow is simply a measure of income versus expenses. You want to ensure that your income sources, such as Social Security, pensions, passive income from rental properties, annuity income, or retirement account withdrawals, cover all your expected and unexpected costs. Before anything else, you need to have a solid understanding of both your income and expenses. This is cash flow. Let's start on the income side of the cash flow equation by identifying income sources. For many, Social Security forms a base level of income, but it's usually not enough to cover all expenses. While there are some who may benefit from having a pension, annuity, or rental income, the majority of Americans rely on Social Security and what they save for retirement as their sources of income. That's where your savings and investments come into play. Remember, your retirement savings shouldn't just sit as a lump sum of cash. You need to understand how much of it you can sustainably withdraw each year without running out of money. One common rule is the 4% rule, or the safe withdrawal rate. It says you can withdraw 4% of your portfolio annually. The unspoken assumption is that however your money is invested, it's earning close enough to or exceeding your 4% withdrawal rate, creating a near perpetual source of retirement income. But this is not gospel. When investing, there's always a risk of loss to be aware of. And market performance, taxes, and other factors can affect how well this works for you. Plus, over the past decade, other strategies like the retirement spending smile and variations of something called income guardrails have gained some prominence in retirement income planning. Here's a quick sneak peek at next week. In the next episode, we'll take a look into withdrawal rates and how they can impact your retirement planning. And we'll follow that with a discussion on the guardrail strategy and how it differs from, and for many may be more optimal than, the 4% withdrawal rate. Now, on the other side of the cash flow coin are your expenses. These include fixed costs like housing, utilities, and healthcare. And I'd like to clarify that when I look at housing, the fixed costs are property tax and homeowners insurance, whereas a mortgage is a cost that will or should eventually be paid off, which leads into finite expenses like loans. And then there's also discretionary spending like travel and hobbies. Many people assume they'll spend less in retirement, but that is not always true. In fact, healthcare costs alone can skyrocket as we age, and many people enter retirement with many ideas and plans, going out and doing all the things they couldn't do while working, and this results often in higher spending than anticipated the first few years of retirement. A comprehensive understanding of your expenses is crucial. Tracking your spending now is a great way to start. You can use an Excel spreadsheet, sure. There are also plenty of budgeting tools and apps out there that can help you get a handle on your current costs and forecast what they'll look like in retirement. If you're not attentive to it, Your budget in retirement might look like a bloated cruise ship if you're not careful with discretionary spending. It's important to plan ahead. As mentioned earlier, withdrawal rates play a key role in your cash flow. If you withdraw too much too soon, you risk depleting your retirement savings before the end of your life, or what I commonly refer to as the end of the plan. On the other hand, withdrawing too little could crimp your lifestyle unnecessarily. Unless you have big charitable plans, the goal is not high score at the end of your plan. Putting it plainly, you're not trying to have as much possible left over when you die. That is not proper or effective retirement planning. So, the 4% rule is a starting point, but flexibility is important. For instance, in years when your investments perform well, you might consider increasing what you're withdrawing. Likewise, when markets are down, you may need to tighten the belt. This is what we call a dynamic approach to retirement spending, and it is an entry-level discussion into examining the guardrails approach to retirement income. And here's where risk management comes into play. Sequence of returns risk is the risk that a poor sequence of market returns early in retirement could negatively impact your portfolio's sustainability. It's crucial to have a strategy in place to mitigate this risk, such as maintaining a cash reserve to cover expenses in those early years of market volatility. For my clients, I generally recommend having 3 to 4 years of expenses as just cash in a money market fund, or ideally as a combination of cash, money market, and CDs. This creates a reserve pool that we can draw from when, emphasis on not if, but when markets decline. Let's face it, none of us know exactly how long we'll live. Life expectancy is a wild card, but it's one you must plan for. Current data suggests that if you're a healthy 65-year-old, you could live well into your 80s or beyond. So you need to ensure your money lasts as long as you do. This is why conservative planning is key. You don't want to assume you'll only live 15 years in retirement when, in reality, it could be closer to 30. It's a long time to stretch your savings. Unexpected expenses are another crucial factor. As much as we'd like to plan for everything, life has a way of throwing curveballs, especially when it comes to healthcare and long-term care costs. While Medicare covers a lot, it doesn't cover everything. Many retirees find themselves facing substantial out-of-pocket expenses for things like nursing homes, in-home care, or expensive treatments. It's wise to consider long-term care insurance or creating a specific emergency fund for these unexpected costs. For example, the most recent 2024 report from Fidelity, just released in August, estimates that a 65-year-old couple retiring today will need around $330,000 just for healthcare costs throughout retirement. This number has more than doubled in 22 years, and that cost doesn't even include long-term care. Maybe just as shocking, Fidelity found that most Americans assume their retirement healthcare costs will be $150,000 per couple, less than half of Fidelity's actual findings. That's why it's crucial to bake these potential costs into your retirement cash flow plan. Now, in summary, how much you need to retire depends primarily on how well you understand your cash flow. Not just about how much you've saved, but how you'll sustain your lifestyle with a balance of income and expenses. Knowing your withdrawal rate, your life expectancy, and potential unexpected costs will all contribute to a well-rounded retirement plan. So let's take some action on this. This week, start by reviewing your current income and expenses. Use budgeting tools to get a better grasp on what your future cash flow might look like. And if you haven't already, think about consulting a financial planner to help fine-tune your strategy. You don't have to go it alone. Next episode, we'll take a deeper dive into withdrawal rates and explore how flexible strategies can better protect your retirement portfolio. Thanks for tuning into this episode of The Financial Flow, brought to you by Tidepool Wealth Strategies. Until next time, stay resilient and plan to retire well. It's disclosure time. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only, should not be used for any other purpose. The views depicted in this material should not be considered specific advice or recommendations for any individual, are not intended to be financial, tax, or legal advice, and do not represent Tidepool Wealth Strategies or Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC. For a comprehensive review of your personal situation, always consult with a financial, tax, or legal advisor. Neither Cetera nor any of its representatives may give legal or tax advice. Our office address is 450 Country Club Road, Suite 350, Eugene, Oregon, 97401. Securities and advisory services are offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, a broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, and member of FINRA and SIPC. Cetera is under separate ownership for any other named entity. Whew.